we're actually going to start with a proposition. And the proposition is this, that high quality recording is style agnostic. That whatever your artist hears can be done in high quality format or be benefited in many ways from good recording methodology and good recording technology. It seems to be a no-brainer, but I'm going to try to sell you on it. Let's listen to just the MP3 artifact at level and see if we can hear what MP3, what the process, what the codec, the perceptual codec, is doing to the music. I'm playing this back. My master is 14.5. Here's the MP3. That's the MP3 artifact. It's just the artifact. Now, I've got 5 or 6 different codecs, and this is not the worst. This is the Pro Tools high-quality codec. Let me play you the Pro Tools low-quality codec. Hang on, this is an eye-opener. Pro Tools low-quality codec is the same as the high-quality codec. Amazing. Well, there's got to be a better codec than that. How about iTunes? Let's do that last. How about Barbabatch? Here's Barbabatch at 128K bit. You have to appreciate this in the context of their claim to be a high-quality codec on their website. You have to appreciate how much distortion this is. For those of you guys who, like me, came from old analog and calibrated distortion in percentage, this is over 25% distortion. This is execrable and profound, and is the way the great majority of listeners have heard music in the last 15 years. And I would submit that there's a real problem there. And it's a problem moving ahead with music that we want to live with and will last for a while. And I think it's a problem for a lot of us going back, having a catalog of things that really suck. The reason I'm raging is because a couple of years ago, record companies started telling us, listen, if we're putting stuff out in MP3, can we save some money by just recording it in MP3? And I realized I had to do something because this was unthinkable. Why are we still coding? What's the point? And I think the point is because nobody said, don't do that. That's it. As a consumer, you say, well, I don't want to hear that anymore. I at least want to have 4824. Call iTunes. Let's all go to get together and call Apple. I've got their phone number. But that's important. The idea that we don't have a choice in technologies is, I think, where this problem came from, and it's possible, clue to its possible solution is to demand a choice. Call people. Say, well, listen, this is pretty good, but do you have anything in 4824 or whatever? I'd like to think that, just judging from my son, who is a raging maniac and has an MP3 with 8,000 tunes on it, and is this weekend at the Rothbury Festival in Michigan, one of the big festivals, was brought to this experience of hearing how he could differentiate MP3s and CDs. And if he could differentiate an MP3 and, hey, a CD is better, what else could he go to? What's another quality level? Just in that he asked that question gives me hope. I think that the answer in any case is giving our listeners access to choices. And as I mentioned in the earlier panel, I don't see that there's any reason that we shouldn't make at least 4824 available. I really don't. Data sizes, net speeds, hard disk sizes, there really isn't any reason not to do at least that much. But I'll save my most outrageous claim to this point. I think that much of the reason, this is personal, and I could be dead wrong, but I'd be willing to be wrong. I think that much of the devaluation of music and devaluation of recorded music has come from just really shitty music. And it's not just shitty technology, it's shitty music. And this point was brought forward by Steve Van Zandt in a keynote at South by Southwest last 2 months ago now, where there's just not the budgets coming from companies to support really working on tunes and sweating it out and coming up with the next, take your pick, you know, the next great act. And he points out, I'm going to split this presentation into a couple different areas because I want to talk about music as well. But Steve Van Zandt talks about a crisis in craft, where a lot of kids coming into the business don't know how to write songs. Why? Well, they've never written a rock and roll song. Haven't written a rock and roll song because nobody's told them how to do it. You know, we had the benefit of interning, as it were, under people that knew how to do this stuff. Or in the case of Springsteen's band, where they grew up playing clubs at dances, where you had to play a set's full of tunes. Every tune, you had to play every tune and keep them up on the floor dancing 5 sets a night, or you were fired. You were out of there. It wasn't a question of a young genius writing a song and building a solo career. It was a question of you played cover tunes, you knew how tunes were arranged, put together, written, performed, and you learned how to perform. And I think that idea of performance is something that I want to focus on rather than the technology, because I think it starts there, that we have to, I think it's agreed, it's not just my opinion, that we have to get back to performance. Again, of artists who can play in tune, sing in tune, play in time, and have a story to tell. Because I think the artists that couldn't, that relied on auto-tune, are a creature of a record company trying to make a hell of a lot of money. You know, think Britney Spears. And again, if there are any Britney Spears fans here, I'm terribly sorry, but I don't think she's somebody that we can take seriously as an artist. But then that's always been the case with recording. The recording is the most trivial business I could imagine being in the sense of it's easy to do. The learning curve is really straight ahead in that sense. You know, getting a mic plugged in, signal flow, all that stuff. My kid could do it when he was 6. Knowing what not to do is another story altogether. Knowing what not to how to carve a performance, how to sculpt a performance, is more often in what's eliminated than in what's added. The other component of that is to not be a slave to the click. You know, there were reasons that we started using the click, and I think those reasons have passed for the most part. You know, musicians that think that they have to lock into a grid for all kinds of music, and that dance music that you want to do to click, and I do, and we use it all the time. But you're not a slave to the click. You can have a performance in the studio that breathes. The tempo of this session goes all over the place. It doesn't feel like it's changing too much, but you know, if it were a click, it would sound stiff. So I mean, the other side of this is, you know, let's break some conventions here. Let's do what we're not supposed to do. Let's not have a constant tempo. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of tunes in the 60s and 70s had life to them and breath to them. You know, you make the best preparations you can make, you know, and make sure everything works right. But when you get in the studio, you're going to just turn knobs till it sounds right. You know, you gotta forget about everything else and just make it rock. It's got to rock. If it doesn't rock, you know, you're SOL. The reason I love that so much is that individual parts of that are really important in political ways. You know, having a bluegrass lick played on a choral electric sitar, you know, really pisses Nashville off, and that's important to me.